I used to think I was bad with money. Maybe you've felt that too. Like everyone else got a secret manual for adulthood and you somehow missed the class where they handed it out. Isn't it strange? We spent years in classrooms learning formulas, memorizing dates, passing exams. Yet no one really explained why payday feels good for about a day and then stress quietly creeps back in. I'm not talking about becoming rich or chasing luxury. I'm talking about understanding why money feels heavy, emotional, and confusing for so many normal, hardworking people. There are a few lessons about money that could have changed everything if we'd heard them earlier. Not complicated theories, just simple truths about how life and money actually interact. Let me share 5 of them with you. First thing school never taught me is that money is more about behavior than intelligence. I used to believe that people who were good with money were just smarter, better at math, more disciplined by nature. But have you ever met someone brilliant at their job who still lives in constant financial stress? That used to confuse me until I realized something uncomfortable. Money decisions often happen when we're tired, emotional, bored, or trying to feel better after a hard day. That's not a math problem. That's a human one. Your financial life is shaped more by your habits than your knowledge. Being smart doesn't protect you from emotional spending. I remember a guy I worked with years ago. Same salary as me, same hours, same workload. But every time we got a bonus, he celebrated with a big purchase. New gadgets, expensive weekends, upgraded everything. I told myself he was just enjoying life more than I was. A few years later, he admitted he felt trapped. Payments everywhere. No breathing room. Meanwhile, the only real difference between us was that I had quietly built the habit of moving a small piece of every paycheck somewhere I wouldn't touch it. Nothing dramatic. Just a behavior repeated. It wasn't intelligence that separated us. It was what we did automatically when no one was watching. Second thing school never taught me is that time matters more than intensity. In school, effort was everything. Study harder, stay up later, push more. So I assumed money worked the same way. Make big moves, big income jumps, big financial changes. But have you noticed how life rarely gives us huge leaps on command? What we do get are months and years passing whether we're ready or not. Time is the silent partner in every financial story. You don't have to move fast. You just have to not stop. I once met a woman who started putting away a small amount from every paycheck in her early 20s. Nothing impressive. Some months it was barely noticeable. She told me she often felt like she wasn't doing enough. Fast forward 20 years. That not enough had quietly turned into real stability. Options. Breathing space. Not because she made perfect choices, but because she gave time something to work with. Then I thought about all the times I delayed starting something because I wanted to do it properly later. Later has a way of arriving with less time than we expect. Third thing school never taught me is that debt changes how you feel about your own life. In class, debt was just a chapter in a math problem. Numbers on a page. But in real life, debt has a strange emotional weight. Have you ever noticed how it sits in the back of your mind even when you're trying to relax? Debt isn't only a financial weight. It's a mental one. Owing money quietly changes how free you feel to make decisions. I remember a friend who wanted to change careers. He was unhappy, stressed, constantly drained. But every time he talked about leaving, the conversation ended the same way. Too many payments. Too many obligations tied to his current income. Nothing about his skills was stopping him. It was the commitments already attached to his future earnings. The job he disliked felt less like a choice and more like a necessity. That's when it hit me. Some financial decisions don't just cost money. They reduce flexibility. And flexibility, I've learned, is one of the most underrated forms of wealth. Fourth thing school never taught me is that looking rich and being financially secure are completely different experiences. Growing up, I assumed you could see who was doing well. The nice car, the latest phone, the vacations. That must be what financial success looks like, right? But adulthood has a way of revealing the parts no one posts. Spending is visible. Stability is quiet. Wealth is often the money you chose not to show. There was a period when someone I knew seemed to be upgrading their life every few months. better apartment, designer brands, weekend trips. From the outside, it looked like everything was working out perfectly. One day, during an honest conversation, they admitted they felt constant pressure just to maintain the image. Almost everything was financed. Savings were close to zero. Every unexpected expense felt like a crisis waiting to happen. Around the same time, another colleague lived much more simply. Older car, modest place, no flashy signals, but they slept well, took time off when they needed to, didn't panic over small emergencies. That contrast changed how I saw success. One lifestyle looked impressive. The other felt peaceful. Fifth thing school never taught me is that small, ordinary decisions shape most financial outcomes. School focused on big moments, final exams, major projects, milestones. So I grew up thinking life-changing results came from big, dramatic moves. But real life seems to be built in the quiet spaces between those moments. Your future is built on days that feel completely normal. Consistency in small things often matters more than intensity in big ones. Think about a typical week. Grabbing food because you're tired. Ordering something online because it's convenient. Saying yes to things because everyone else is. None of these choices feel important on their own. I went through a phase where I paid closer attention to these small decisions. Not with guilt, just curiosity. I noticed how often I spent money to relieve stress, save time, or avoid discomfort. And I realized most of my financial patterns lived in these tiny, repeatable moments. Over time, a few small adjustments in those ordinary days created more impact than any single big financial move I ever made. Not because the changes were dramatic, but because they were steady. When I look back, I don't feel upset that school didn't teach me these things. Most of us were simply handed a system that focused on grades, not real life patterns. But now we're here, living real days, paying real bills, feeling real pressure about time, work, and the future. And maybe the goal isn't to suddenly become perfect with money. Maybe it's just to understand the forces that quietly shape our choices, so we can move through life with a little more awareness and a little less confusion. Because once you see how behavior, time, flexibility, perception, and small daily actions influence your financial life, things start to feel less mysterious. Not easier overnight, just clearer. And sometimes clarity is the first real step toward feeling in control again. If this video has been helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. You may want to watch the video next to this one.